Mondays. I am your host, Lindsay Briggs, and this is a safe space where we talk about the motherhood journey, the lifestyle, the creation, the creativeness in the motherhood, and entrepreneurship. And today, our special guest is Jackie Zephir. And what I love about Jackie and just being in the Fairmount space, before moving over to this location, we were across the street. Jackie served as a community manager, and so she knows a lot about the space, a lot of the entrepreneurs that came through the accelerator program, and so there's a lot of context and foundation there. On top of that, she has her own business and her own coaching program, and she's a mom. And so what we're really going to talk about is her creative journey, her motherhood journey, and just working her way back to purpose. So if, without further ado, I'm just going to give you the floor to introduce yourself for people who don't know.
Sure. Thank you, Lindsay. First and foremost, thanks for having me and allowing me to share my story. It's kind of hard to do this. I usually don't highlight my backstory, so I really appreciate it. My name is Jackie. I was born and raised here in Boston. My family is from the west coast of Africa. My mom is from Guinea-Bissau. My dad is from Cape Verde. And my parents were just immigrants that worked really hard to, expand their horizons. Just a hardworking family. Came from, the country back home. My mom had like one pair of shoes growing up. And they were just, my mom and my dad from two different places, but they were both very hardworking. And that's kind of what I saw growing up. Like I just saw my parents hustling, just nonstop. My dad working nonstop. And it kind of shaped me because they inspired me to want to carry the tradition of whatever they're working so passionately for and opening doors for me. And so I really wanted to take advantage of that. But my father was an entrepreneur as well. Like he's always trying to figure out ways to make money. He told me when he was young, like when he was in Cape Verde, actually in Playa, I don't know, he had begged he's from Fogo, which is, Cape Verde is 10 islands for folks that don't know. But I don't know how he was able to go study in Santiago, Santiago is one of the islands, but Playa is the capital of Cape Verde, or of Santiago. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. But,
And breaking it down for us.
Yeah, so he had begged my grandparents for like a motorcycle. And so they finally gave it to him. And so he started renting it out to people. And he told me, he's like, I started renting out my motorcycle and money was coming in. And he's like, from that point on, he's like, whatever he could do. And so even, that's just kind of like the spirit, like my grandmother and my dad and my mom, like we've just never been afraid to work. And so with me, it's interesting. I think I grew up in a very Catholic household, and my grandmother really put it in me, like as far as like having a relationship with God, even though it was a very traditional type of way, like we had to do the rosary 30 minutes every day, and like each corner, like my little brother, my older brother, and me, we're just like with the rosary. But it helped me establish a relationship with God, like ever since I was young. Like I was just that oddball. I was the loner, just because I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. I think I'm still like that. But over time, like I've always been a creative. Like I used to rap raps when I was when I was 15, and it's crazy. I had like one friend make like a funny comment about it, and I stopped.
Oh.
Yeah, I look back at that, and I'm just like,
You feel like that means you feel insecure?
it really made me. It did, because it was somebody that was like a really good friend to me. And at that, I was so impressionable at that time. I just like to try different things, explore different things, imagine different things. And it's like for someone that I cared so much, for me to like be writing raps, and I was writing them with K Dirt, like in Creole.
And don't let her flee. I might have her do something because I heard her back in it was some event. I think it was a shopping event, the shopping network event, and you busted out with some rap. I was like, okay, freestyle. So don't let her flee.
Freestyle's a bit much. It was something I wrote, but I ain't gonna say that. But yeah, just I've always been like creative, just cause I'll try it. Like I won't knock it. Like I'm like, okay, let's do it. You know. Fast forward a little bit. So now, like as far as I consider myself a creative entrepreneur because I don't think I'm doing anything that people are trying to do. Like entrepreneurship for me isn't so much about making money, but leaving a legacy. Like I just feel like for me, if I do the work, the money will come. I'm not chasing a dollar, but I do want to impact people's lives, and specifically women that look like me and younger girls. A lot of the stories we heard today. I'm hoping that one aspect of my business is, which is, it's actually not part of my business. It's a community I started. It's called Purposeful Black Women, and it's on Meetups. And I'm currently revamping it because I want it to be a little bit more structured. But
what is that all about?
So Purposeful Black Women started off just as a space. It came out of like my own pain of like trying to go up the ladder in corporate America, like working really hard and not getting acknowledgement. Just the burnout that goes with like trying to go up the ladder of corporate America. Like you have to show up, I don't know, it's tough. It's not made for us to climb it. And it's also like very lonely because you get to a certain place and it's just very competitive and you're just not sure like who to trust and like things like that. But anyways, I ended up getting burned out and I felt like I didn't have anyone to talk to, and I was sure around this time that there was other women feeling like me. And this was also around the time of the shooting of the young boy, not Mike Brown, before him. Trayvon Martin. And that was just affecting me a lot. And so I just created a place for Black women to share their grievances around being in corporate America. And then I started thinking more like, what can we do to help women who are in corporate still be able to navigate these spaces of like microaggression or not being seen. Like when you're trying to go up these ladders, like it tears at like your soul a lot. And so, but from that point, I started realizing that I would have to create my own business. And that corporations in America historically have not been places for our growth, especially Black women. And so I'm starting right now to see how I can create a space for Black women to feel safe, but also grow professionally, grow spiritually, and also grow within themselves. That's kind of that's part of my.
That's what you're doing, girl. That's what
Genre.
we're trying to do. But
Yeah.
you are doing it. And I've seen you since we've met navigate spaces, navigate the corporate world, and also do your business and your meetups on the side. And I shouldn't really even say. I have a funny thing when I say like on the side because I feel like that's so much of your purpose, and a lot of what our passions and purpose is like. Just because we're not doing it on a full-time basis, that's usually the thing that's gonna make us, ascend. So I've seen you kind of navigate the two spaces and you do it gracefully. When it comes to motherhood, you talk specifically about, just being more quality time with your children, right? And we know that corporate America takes us from quality time with our children, all right? So, how are you, how is it now that you're navigating through that? Because it seems like you have made an intentional decision. And I think as mothers and parents, we have to make those intentional decisions for our children because we only know what they need from us, you know, like no one else knows. So how has it been navigating through that intentional decision of like, yeah, I'm gonna work, yeah, I'm gonna make money, but I want to be here for these kids and not missing them.
Yeah, that's the difficult part for me. I don't only just want to be with my kids, but I want to be present.
Yes.
And sometimes with so many things going on in your mind, it's so difficult. So I try to be really mindful. Like, I mean, I even try to, it might seem like a practical thing, like I'm scheduling my kids, but it's not. It's like, I really try to just give them undivided attention, even if it's like 45 minutes a day, where I'm just like, no phone, whatever you want to talk about, even if
I can't follow
if
it.
I gotta sit on the floor, if I gotta my son is all about Mario's right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like right now he has like Mario Maker. So we literally have to watch all the highlights. We have to watch all the updates. We gotta watch all, and I'm here with him like cringing. But it makes him so happy when he's like, "Mommy, we got another update," and I'm like, "Yeah, we got another update." You know, but it just makes him so happy.
Yes.
Like for me to just be there with him. And that's good enough for me, you know, like, you know, and he'll be singing in the house after that. So for me, that's confirmation. Okay, he's happy, he's singing, or he'll come to me with things. Like if he's comfortable bringing issues at school, that always makes me feel good. Um, so yeah, it's for me, it's just about really being present. And also trying to be better than my parents. Our parents were. Like, I know my parents weren't very present looking back. I forgive them now because I look at a lot of the things that I didn't understand as a child and still doing the best they could. But I think when you get past the baton, like you don't really have a choice if you want the best for your family or, you know, what's going to come after you. You have to make time to cultivate them properly. And it's not easy. But I think those times of undivided attention go such a long way.
And also including them, like, as we were preparing for this episode, we were right here in this space. We both brought our sons, and you know we've been trying to get our sons together for forever, and that was like the divine time that they could, you know, be together and just including them in what we're doing. It's like you don't have to X them out.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, and for sure. And I wasn't trying to say that, you know. I just think it is a good balance. Like if you're gonna be away, just like you prioritize your businesses, like you have to prioritize your kids because from a lot of the stories I heard today, how the parents impact the kids, it's your just as the young lady you interviewed earlier today, just the impact and then you grow up with this trauma and then it kind of creates characteristics that you then have to, like, I highly suggest therapy because you have to talk about these things, you have to become aware of them to know that sometimes we do things that are definitely passed down from our parents that we're not even aware of.
Not even aware of.
You know?
We do them every day.
We do them every day and we'll be damned if someone tells us that we're acting like our parents when it comes to that. But it's like having that conversation, being aware, looking back at your behaviors and being like, oh snap, I'm doing that same thing. And then making that effort to change, which definitely isn't easy, but I feel like I went all over the place. I hope I answered your question.
You're good. Do you feel like you have taken something that you have experienced with your parents and your mom and tried to intentionally change it with your kids?
Definitely as far as being more intentional with my attention to what they want to do. Like really surrendering, like them doing things my way or what I want to do, and just letting them kind of own it. And like I want to, sometimes I just try to like be a best friend to my kid and see. I want them to take me through the hoops of what they're going through, and it's like you start to realize that they have strong emotions about things. Like to us, we'll be like, "That's nothing, baby," but it's like to them, it's like, "No, I went back to school and this happened," and I'm just like, to us it might be nothing, but to them it's a real thing. So considering that, I don't think my parents I don't even think my parents wondered. I mean, they cared and they asked me how I was doing and they tried to do like the parent thing, but I don't think they ever really tried to get to know me. Like, who am I? Like, who is, it's just like, oh, you have a kid, there's one of your kids. Like, I want to treat my kids like individuals and also try to help them grow as the individual that they want to be, if that makes sense. I want to honor their individuality.
Makes perfect sense. And that's a good mom. That's a good mom. Kudos to you, girl. And so, can you talk about take me through a time of difficulty of navigating through, your professional, your creative endeavors, and also mothering?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a time where I wasn't as conscious as I am now about about how important it is to be 100% in myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but like before I was just going with the flow. Like if it's time to grind, let's grind. But there's no real reason why I'm grinding. Like it's like everybody grinds, my dad grinded, we grinded. But it's like now I'm first. Like my health, how's my health? How's my water intake? Am I getting my exercise? Because I realize when I'm able to serve, whether it's my kids, my job, or whoever I serve, much better if I'm at 100%. And that means I'm putting myself first. Right. Whereas before it was just like, go, go, go. Oh, you didn't eat? That's okay. No. I don't, like I'm the car. And this car is going to drive me to the end of my life. And so I need to take care of my vehicle. I need to take care of my soul, my spirit, my, really get to know myself as a person so that I could best navigate, this life and do what I feel is my purpose to do, serve, whether it's my job or my community, but then also specifically my kids, who will continue the legacy of our family. And for even beyond that, like I don't even think our kids belong to us. I believe
Amanda?
Was it Amanda? No, it wasn't Amanda. I think, yeah, you made I'm sorry, your name? Risa.
Oh,
Sorry about that. She made a really good point, and it's something I live by. Like, I don't really believe, Amanda made it too. You actually made that same point, Amanda. Like, my kids aren't really my kids. They're God's, I'm just here to set them up, let them know what this world is really about, let them know about sex before their friends do, let them know, like every time something happens in the news, it's like, damn, I want to preserve their innocence, but I don't have a choice at this point. So it's really just trying to arm them, their self-esteem, first and foremost, that what they think and what they believe matters, and that they can do anything that they want. Like, don't be afraid to fail. Like, I want my kids, I prefer that they try a bunch of stuff, and fail at it, than just be afraid to try anything. Like, you're not gonna try, you're just not even gonna get in the ring. So, yeah, I think my responsibility, I think God gives us all the responsibility. I think we're all God's hands on this earth to serve each other. But specifically through our kids, we have a responsibility to arm them. And we have a job to heal our past trauma as well so that it's not flowing through them. Because if you're not dealing with your trauma, it's flowing through your kids, whether you want it to or not.
Definitely.
And so that's why it goes back to prioritizing self-care. And when I say self-care, it's not just nails done, but it's talking to a therapist. It might be going to church. It could be coming together with friends. But taking care of yourself first, making sure you're at 100 because you could serve your true self at 100 than you serving at 20%. It's just not the same.
Mhm.
So, for sure.
I want to just bring up an example because I like bringing up examples, solid examples of what people are authentically and transparently doing. And you're talking about spending intentional time and being present, with your kids. And I just want to talk about when we were preparing for the episode. I observe a lot, and I observed how gentle you were, with your son, and just letting him own, like, however he wants to be, running around with those shooting. It was nothing like, oh, you need to sit down, or it wasn't like that because it was just us in here anyway. But I think it's very, very important because a lot of people say what they want to do or what they're doing, but then it's not really shown in action. So I wanted to, give you kudos and praise for that because I do see it and I observe it, and
Thank you.
it's that's how our children get empowered by knowing that they have a listening ear and somebody that is present. So you're doing it.
Thank you. My son is really sensitive. And coming from our culture, like, you can't be sensitive. And I wouldn't want to put my son through that because there's a lot that he's able to see through his sensitivity. And it's like, I'm just trying to shield him from, like, society's views on men. Because that might, because that might be a strong suit for him. That'll serve him in a way that other people don't understand. But I feel like we do this I don't think, I don't know, society's views on men not being able to be vulnerable, not being able to share, or like having to be so like overly manly and not connect with their feminine side that we all, it's a balanced thing. It's not really a gender. But it just takes away so much from their life that they could be. And honestly, now I see the results of that as far as how men are with women. Like, I don't see gentlemen anymore. Like, I don't see, and I don't know where that comes from. I'm not blaming anyone for that. Sorry. But it's
Besides Justin.
Yeah, right, Justin.
Wait a minute, what happened here?
Leonard, right?
Yes.
It's just, where are the kingdom men? Solid men. Like, I just had I don't know, sometimes I hear men speak, and not all men, definitely not all men, there's some great men out there, but I just want to see more of, like, well-balanced men, can be soft, can be gentle, but can also be assertive.
Right.
I'm not saying aggressive. Just
be a leader.
Be a leader.
Right.
Like, just have that standing presence. And so I guess how I serve this, I guess, is so one part of my entrepreneurship, which is the women's group, is that I think that if we create more solid women, these are women that at this point in their life they want to look at themselves. They want to figure out what their purpose is. And I think if we make more solid, healed, or women that are willing to do the healing work, or, willing to do that inner work, that if women are healed, everybody else gets healed. If black women are healed, everybody. So if we could get black women back on top, and like, just back on like a more solid path, I think it just changes the trajectory of everybody. Like, if black women get all the way healed and right, I just think it trickles down at the root.
Definitely at the root. What is something, with your meetups and purposeful women, purposeful black, for a mother who is looking, for this space and they don't yet see it? What is the differentiates you from other, black women meetups, or what is the thing that is like, dang, I'm going to Jackie's?
Yeah, no, like, for me, it's not all surface. Like, for me, it's the things you don't see. Because I think sometimes we see things, but we don't really, everything's masked. Everything's covering something. you know? And I just think it's like creating a safe space for women to go through the journey of healing, growing as a professional, but then also like looking how they can serve. These women already know when they hear me come in, when I drop what I'm working on, they'll know that this is the group for me. I'm not looking for everybody.
Right.
I'm looking for people who they know they got a purpose. Like some of the women that we heard from today, like, you know, they know they have a purpose. Maybe they're shy, maybe they're nervous. Like I'm nervous, I'm doing this and I'm nervous. But I just want to say, hey, like there's a place for you, and even if you don't feel 100%, give it time. We want to we want to develop women fully, like spiritually, professionally, and then just a deep dive into self as well. But then we also have a sisterhood, so we're like-minded. We're building our own business, and so not only are we developing on our own, but we're also building a safe space, like a safe network. Yeah, so I think what would make me different is that, you know, we have boss babes, and we have, for me, it's the inner work. It's not just about being a business person. It's about just becoming a full, mature, healed, or healing, right? Because the healing work is never always done. But just becoming a well-rounded, strong woman who takes care of herself first, because she leaves everyone else behind her.
Yes, putting yourself first. So that. More self-love.
It's the only way.
More self-love, more self-care, right?
It's the only way.
The only way to lead everybody, you know? So, where do you know, what's next? What's next for you? What's the next step, you know? I feel like you're so dope, you know? I know you're a little nervous, but you're doing great. And, what's next? Like, I just, there's so much that you have inside of you to give to Black women, to Black mothers, and I'm pretty sure everybody wants to know what's next.
Okay, sure. I am, you know, right now I work a job as well. And so I'm moving a lot slower, but I'm totally okay with it. There was a time like, oh my God, I gotta put something out, or I gotta, but I realized that's not my dream. That's not the dream. I'm really trying to build something that's solid, and like I said, I needed to impact women's lives. But it's beyond women, because so I have the women's group. I'm also working on my travel company to West Africa, and what that does is it connects folks from the diaspora back to Africa. So like me, my parents are from there, so I go back there, a whole bunch of family comes and pick me up. But for people that don't have that connection, it's kind of like, damn, Africa's calling me, but what do I do? So the travel company, it's a group travel company. We bring people back to Africa, but then we take care of lodging, accommodations, we take care of transportation, and you know, wherever we visit, we take care of that. And your only job is to experience what you're supposed to experience, just connecting back to the motherland, to the people. We take care of the logistics. And the reason that's important is because, like, if a child is stolen from their mom, like, even if it's been 400 years, should she not reconnect with her child? So I just think that there's a real, like, I'm just a bridge. I think that everyone that goes back, something happens to you. It's like your own journey. It touches you in your own way, just like it did to me. And I just got like a real calling, like, people need to come back. Like, one of the reasons I feel like a part of our suffering is that we never really connected like that.
Girl.
Oh, don't make me get deep up here.
I think we want that. I love it, how everything is working together, you know, under one umbrella. And that's, you know, I really knew about Sawasi Travels when we first met, and I thought that was so dope.
Thanks to Crazy Goods, by the way.
Yes.
Elson specifically, he was brainstorming like a
Yeah,
mom.
we all were working together.
Yeah, we were sitting there like, there's gotta be a
we all
name
working
that
together.
stands out.
So I love it. Even we're talking about coming back, like we're coming back even creatively, us all, through the pandemic, the shutdown and moving. I see everybody coming full circle, so I'm loving it.
Yeah, I know, and I'm loving everything you're doing too. Just giving Black women a platform. Like I said, I work for corporate America, and Black women, we just work on the low. We get shit done. We make sure everything's going smoothly, but like what I'm getting from my experience there as I observe, because I'm no longer, like I'm working, but I'm more observing. And I realized with my company, I want to create a place for Black women to make decisions. Like I'll put an idea out and I know these people aren't going for my idea. It could be the best idea, but they have the space for them, and I'm not mad at it. But for me, I want to create a space for Black women with dope ideas, to be able to have their ideas like heard and expressed and manifested, I'm observing now, so that I think one of the podcasts someone mentioned that, like, from your experience, what are you trying, I think he asked you that about experience in corporate America, and like, how do you bring it back? How do you bring what you saw, the injustices that you saw, how do you bring it back? And that's my goal. I just been seeing so many dope Black women. There's spots in between, because it's like 1 to 12 white people, but like so many great ideas and so many things, but their ideas don't get heard, they get broken down, and then you stop believing in yourself, then you get burned out, and so like try to reverse that and create a space where our ideas are cultivated and celebrated and executed.
I love that. In wrapping up, my last question is, and you can add anything that you want to, make this kind of open-ended, with your purpose of, getting back to your purpose of, filling your cup and doing the inner work, and that is your goal for other Black women to do the same, and specifically because we're on Mondays, Black mothers, Black women, Black mothers, since your meetup hasn't quite, opened up yet, but what if, the space that you kind of expressed about being burnt out in the corporate world, not really having intentional time with your kids, if there's a Black mother watching, listening out there in that same specific space, what is the advice that you would give them?
What is her experience? You said that she's
kind of in a space of like she doesn't know, where she wants to go, what she's doing. She knows she's a creative, but she's also juggling, being a mom, and then there's mom guilt because you don't want to take too much time. Kind of like what we talked about, not really doing the inner work, but she knows she has to do the inner work in order to get to the next level. What is the advice that you would give to kind of encourage?
I really feel, I don't know how people take this, but I think spending time on your own is so invaluable. Like, everybody wants to be in a clique, or everybody wants to walk with somebody, or everybody, and it's like, you're not giving yourself, like, there's a you inside of you that is working really hard to speak to you and come out.
Ooh, yes, girl.
Like, it's there. It's like a voice that, y'all hear me, right?
Yes,
I
girl.
hear me, right?
You just can't clap louder because y'all recording.
Right. But, and sometimes it's like no friends for a little bit. Like, I love friends. But I know me, like, I've spent a lot of time. It just, like I said, growing up, I never really fit into spaces. I don't know. It's like, people love me 1 second and they hate me. I don't know. It's weird. But I always didn't make the cut somehow. You know what I mean? And so that forced me in a place of spending time on my own. But it helped me to really get to know myself and what I could take. And I was like that even younger, but now I'm older with more consciousness. And I'm realizing, like, I'm super sensitive. I can't just take any environment. I can't, and I'm not forcing it. Like, there was a time, like, I'm gonna just do it for everybody. And go sit in places, I know I don't want to be there. Everything inside of my soul is like, get me out of here.
Yes. girl.
But you know, your friends are there, they're having a good time, and I'm not doing that to myself no more. If I don't want to be there, I don't want to be there. I don't care. If it's not edifying me or giving me life, then it's just not for me. And I'm okay with that. Whereas before it's like, damn, am I getting left out? Or am I missing something? Or am I don't give a shit anymore.
Yes.
Like, and it feels like my life is so much more peaceful. And like, I start to become a lot stronger in knowing who I am and what I want and what's not for me. Oh no, for real, you know. And I just want every black. I'm not at the top. You know, I might be a couple steps ahead, but I want black women to get. I don't want us to be competitive. It's such a waste of time. Like, you got something to offer. You can't be me. I can't be you, boo. I can't be you, and you will never be me. You know, so what is it that's so great about you? And let's cultivate that. Let's grow that. And what's the best that's in me? And let's grow that. And how can we bring it to get us up out of this bullshit that's black, I don't know, America, white America, or, you know, school shootings? Like, what is really going on? Like, the school shooting wasn't black, but I think the grocery store was. It's just, I don't know. I think it's in black women's hands. Whether it's just always been in our hands, so it's like it's not something we could, which is an honor as well. That I think God trusts us. Like, God knows it's us, but I think our healing work and us getting to who we are without nobody telling us, nobody's opinions. I don't care about people's opinions. You know, figure out who you are and how you're meant to serve. And purpose, it doesn't have to be huge. You can serve every single day just being in consciousness. You see somebody hurt, help them. You see somebody need $1, give them that $1. Like, it's not that deep. Another $1 will come.
Yes.
The more you let them dollars flow out your hand, I don't know. It just becomes, I'm like, thank you, Jesus, you know. But yeah, like, I just think black women, it's important that we heal. So even if you feel confused, like, what am I doing? Spend that time alone. By the water, specifically. That's just how I do it.
So that's so invaluable. That's so invaluable. I didn't know that you were going to say that, but I've been spending a lot of time alone as well.
Yeah, good perspective.
You definitely, your mind gets, you just see things that you never saw before about yourself, about others, and how you're just supposed to show up in the world. And it's just way more peaceful that way. So.
It's energy. You know, you're going to take on somebody's energy a little bit, but it's always good to get that clearing. Like, go back to self. Like, because sometimes you get people that are so, you know, like, either they inspire you or you really like them, and then you almost energy is like, you almost depend on that energy. And it's like, man, as soon as I start feeling that dependent, I'm like, whoop, I need some time by myself.
Well, thank you so much, Jackie. It's been a pleasure. I thank you for sitting down with me, for being transparent, for dropping some gems, for helping us get back to self and get back to our purpose. And we know that the purpose, it doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be something that's within and that we want to serve others.
Just serve others consciously, softly, gently. Just like if you were ever to be down, the same way you want somebody to come at you, extend that softness to everybody. Because we're like, there's a lot going on right now.
Extend that grace.
Extend the grace. Extend the grace. That's it.
Extend that grace. Thank you so much. This has been another episode of Mommy Mondays here live at the Fairmount Innovation Lab. Thank you so much to the live audience. And we'll catch you on another Mommy Monday. This is Lindsay Briggs, your host, and we are